apply?
Yes, so even before we came on air, I was explaining to you how tough it is.
Yeah.
It's actually a big deal among investigative journalists in Africa. This is my third time applying for the award.
Is it?
Yes, it is. And, you just put the story in and you are relaxed thinking that it will go through, but then you have your hopes high.
Absolutely.
So for the past years, it never worked for me. This time around, it was a tough decision to decide between two documentaries that I'd worked on.
Okay.
Which was on Dreams in Shambles, a story from the northern part of Ghana, which had young girls who were going to school with their younger siblings.
Right.
Life was quite difficult for them there, really emotional one. And then there was Troubled Morgue as well, which gained a lot of attention.
That
when it
one.
Exactly. So I didn't pray over it. I just slept over it.
Didn't?
I didn't. I just slept over it.
You were not sure if we're gonna win or just another year again.
Yes. So I was like, okay, should I go with this daring story, which would be shocking when they see it, or should I go with something that is emotional that can be able to win their heart?
Absolutely.
Because usually when the story is emotional and people are able to relate to it, they fall in love with the story.
Absolutely.
So before you also put in such stories for filing's sake, you need to put all of those things into consideration because you want your story to be considered.
Definitely.
Yes. So I decided to just go on my YouTube, pick the Troubled Morgue link, and then I just put it in and I submitted. It's quite an easy process.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not tough. They'll just ask you a few questions about the story, yourself, why you want to win, why you think you should be the best. So after doing that, I was just there, and somewhere last month, I got an email that I've been selected as part of the finalists.
All right.
They would want to have an interview with me. So they could select quite a number of stories and journalists who have made it to the final parts, but they would need to have a conversation with you to know about your thinking capability, why you decided to tell the story in this angle and not that angle.
Right.
So you need to justify the whole thing.
At that point, you started praying.
I did because I was like, God, I've gotten to this stage. I'm happy about it. They don't get to announce who is the runner-up, so it's the ultimate winner they're looking for. It's just one.
The winner takes all.
No, the winners are two actually.
2 winners, okay.
So every year they give it to 2 winners.
Okay.
Yes. So I was just hoping that I would be able to make it there because that's what people will get to see.
Yes.
And like I mentioned, there are other Ghanaians who have gotten to that final stage, but they don't get to make it to the finale.
Okay.
Or, I mean, like to be announced as the winners.
Yeah.
So, the time was up for the interview. I set my laptop, joined them on Zoom. I was just prepared. And the first question was, why the Michael Elliott Award?
Okay.
And I just don't know where the English came.
It was just flowing. You're just ruckling it.
I was just...
Do you remember what she said?
Yeah. I can say some of the words that I used, but I don't know exactly what I said.
It was just flowing.
You need to impress them.
Absolutely.
So I started by saying that, it's a big deal that is on the lips of every investigative journalist here in Ghana. And it is prestigious and it's going to elevate me to the foreign front. And I'm looking to collaborate with a lot more journalists to enhance on my capabilities and to tell stories differently as well. So when I said that, the guy was just laughing and smiling. So, I felt quite good. But sometimes they would put up such a posture,
thinking
just
that
for you to be impressed.
Yeah,
but then I didn't let all of that, deceive me. I was just spot on and then speaking English. I was just speaking English.
But during that session, you had a chance to also hear what other journalists were saying, right?
No.
Okay,
so it's a one-on-one.
Okay.
Yes. So you don't get to know who is part of the finalists. They will give you a date. Tuesday 9 p.m. Does it work for you? Yes, 9 p.m. you're set.
Okay.
Others are equally giving. So I remember when we're done with the interview, he asked me if I had a question to ask.
Okay.
I was so confused and I asked him, did I impress him? That's what I did.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, I did. And when I asked him, I was like, there are quite a number of journalists who are still there, and I have like about 2 weeks to interview other journalists. So 2 weeks, that's like 14 journalists.
My goodness, that 2 weeks for you will feel like 10 million years.
I was like, oh wow, 2 weeks? He said yes. And I said, okay, fingers crossed. But I think what also really helped me wasn't just about the story.
Okay.
I sometimes when you're being asked certain questions and you answer them, it's good for you to add things that you think would win the hearts of the judges.
Right.
So I started talking about some stories are done on the Russian-Ukraine war and some Ghanaians who are still stuck up at the front line of the war.
Yeah.
And me, making arrangements to go to Ukraine.
Right.
That's actually a documentary that I'm still working on the line. I mean, when the first story broke on these Ghanaians who were there, it was equally huge and it went global.
Yeah.
BBC was calling, DW, online portals. Yes. So that story was really big. So immediately I mentioned that story. He was like, yes. Oh, you're the guy. So immediately I said, and I wasn't asked any question about that. But then because I brought that in and I knew it was a story that gained attention.
People relate with who you were speaking with.
Exactly. It was a plus for me.
I mean, you've created a hallmark of excellence with your work and it's so admirable.
Have I?
Oh, yeah, you have. I mean, what you just said, for somebody to just immediately relate with, oh, that's the guy who did that, It tells how much passion you put into writing.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. Let me just backtrack a little bit. Has journalism always been the first choice of career?
You know what? When I was in GIG, I was still quite young. I got admission into GIG right after senior high school, so I was 18.
Okay.
I was so confused, I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
Even the course that I was,
offered.
I just was like, let me just do this.
Oh, is it?
Yes. So when I started, I knew that I wanted to be on TV.
Okay.
So I tried my hands on acting.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, I did.
I want to see scenes of it. It's not YouTube.
It's not. Even if it was there, I would have deleted it.
What was the title of the movie? Asediba 1 and 2. I see.
Yeah, there were times I'll skip lectures, go for auditions.
You're kidding me?
Yes, I did. I'll go for auditions. Sometimes the producers or whatever they call them will ask you to bring some money, fill audition
forms.
Oh, to
pay for auditions and all of that.
Yes,
You've been through all of that.
Yes, and you don't get to hear from them again.
Wow.
But one of the things that I did that I would say was a success as an acting was with Sparrow's production.
Okay.
It was a commercial on OLX. I don't know if you remember OLX.
I think I have a faint memory.
It was more like Tonaton.
Oh, right.
You buy product online. Yes.
You were in that commercial.
Yeah, I was. Yes, I was. And I was paid. And
the money was good.
It was good. It was quite good then.
At the time, yeah.
And I was still in school, very young. I remember going to Circle to buy a few stuff for class and all of that. It was good and was satisfying as well. I realized the auditioning thing wasn't really working for me because sometimes, almost all the time, you're always not being picked.
Right.
It's like they had a cluster of people that they would want to be selected. Exactly. And you would always find them in every audition ground. So
trust me, I know. I can relate.
Exactly. So it was just draining and I'm like, okay, let me try presenting.
Okay.
Yes, so I was looking out for presenting auditions.
Yeah.
I've been here, I've auditioned for about 3 times.
With TV3?
Yes.
Oh, for real?
Yes. So
you don't say.
I'm always watching TV3 and I'm looking out for the crawlers to see if I will see audition.
Okay.
And immediately I see that I'm picking up the date and I'm starting to plan about what I'm going to wear for the auditions. Yes. So I remember the first time I came, I didn't really make it to anywhere. The second time I got to the finale and I think Joseph Warongu was there.
Right, I remember Joseph Warongu.
General manager for news then.
Abraham? Was it Abraham at the time?
No, Joseph Warongu.
Yes, I remember Joseph, yes.
Yes. From the BBC.
Yes, I remember him very well.
Is he from Uganda?
From Kenya?
From Kenya, yes. So they trained us somewhere. There's this building across the GBC street.
Okay.
We had a training, including Samani.
Oh, was it?
Yes. So we all auditioned together. So finally, after the training, they had to pick they told us we were ready for employment and they would get back to us, but we never heard from them. I was done with my diploma course in GIG then and was doing my service at GBC. So I was producing Valerie Dunn, so she had a showbiz program. When she wasn't there, I sat in as a host for her as well. So I did that for some time. When I was done with my service, I joined the EIB network. And that was where everything began for me. So I was actually an entertainment reporter
Interesting.
Yes, and presenters. So, like I mentioned, I did few presenting auditions here and there. Sometimes,
doing investigative journalism obviously wasn't part of a plan right from the beginning.
Never.
You just knew you wanted to be on TV.
Yes, that was it.
So, at what point then did you decide, look, I think I want to explore investigative journalism? Was it your natural adrenaline, or it's just the fact that you became more inquisitive with work?
I think it was just something that I had in me, but I didn't know. And I remember back home, or when I was in senior high school, I would just start talking about things around me as though I'm reporting live.
Okay.
So I'll be walking around the dormitory. So here are some students standing there doing nothing. And then my friends will also be, praising me for all of those things. So it encouraged me. But I wasn't really sure if that was something that I'd wanted to do.
Right.
I think it was something that I had in me naturally, polishing, to enhance it.
Yes.
So fast forward, when I joined the EIB network, then the newsroom did a lot of special storytelling.
Right.
I joined them as an entertainment reporter, and I did that for some time, and I had to sit back, look at a lot of things. The entertainment industry was collapsing. Everything was just, some way. And I was like, no, I need to go into the special reporting. Then my assignment editor, which was William Evans Inkum, now the Ashanti Regional Bureau here at MG, he was like, hey, entertainment, how can you, I told him to trust me, and he did. So he started assigning me to all these hardcore assignments.
Right.
Vice President is visiting here. There's this program on CDD Ghana. And there were other reporters in the newsroom that I really admired.
Yeah.
And anytime they do a special story or a documentary, even when the promo plays on TV, everyone is talking about it.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I think this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I started watching a lot of BBC documentaries, and anything I come across that is newsworthy,
you became more inquisitive,
that's revealing, I try to watch and learn. And I did a lot of reading as well, a lot of research. Then boom, I started doing special reports.
Okay.
So back at GH1 TV, I did a lot of reports. Within a short period of time, people started noticing my work and they were liking it.
I mean, let me just fast forward a little bit. When you came in here as well, it was very telling that you had a quest for investigative journalism.
Yeah.
I mean, you're from your assignments, so you go to places that not that people don't want to go. I guess a lot of people don't have the courage to. I mean, don't take me to the morgue. I can't do it.
You should at least have the experience.
Well, it's one thing having the experience, but it's that particular documentary that won you this award.
Yeah.
Really, it's a lot of things in one. It's passion. It's being daring, being determined, being very assertive. Like, it's everything
mixed bag
in one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure, even though you knew that you were trying to cause some social change, did you think that it was going to go this far?
So this was a story I actually worked on 2 years ago. Okay, let me say in 2022. I was still at the EIB network then.
Right.
It went viral. People were shocked. Right after the story, I was looking at change. I realized people go there and still complain to me. They send me messages. The story you did, nothing has changed, blah, blah, blah. So when I joined MG, so 2 years later, which was in 2024, I decided to go there again.
And do a follow-up.
This time around, security had become tighter at the entrance point of the morgue because they didn't want such a thing to be exposed to the public again. So I had to disguise, wear my black on a Friday, go to the place
as though you were going to,
so when I see a family that is going for their deceased, I just follow them, stand somewhere at the back, and then I'm doing my secret filming and everything and monitoring around to see if what I got in the previous years would be different.
Changed.
And when I went, things were terrible in there. Around where the families could go was just let's say few walks from the entrance, but when you go deep inside, that's where you see the bodies lying on the floor, the maggots coming out of the body, the smell in there is just terrible. So I mean, at that point it was very difficult for me to get to that place because of restrictions. No person can go there. You need to be a worker. So then I came with a plan. I've never shared this anywhere, but I just told one of the workers that I'm part of the midwifery school, and we are running a project on the morgue. My colleagues came and left earlier, and I'm late, and I need to go in to assess certain things to, put on my report. So the guy was like, okay, sure, you can come in. And once I was going in, my camera and everything was already recording. So while I was walking in, I was getting the visuals. So I think someone made me out, but I had gained a lot more weight like 2 years ago, and then in 2024. So whilst I was doing the filming, they were speaking in Ga. And the Ga comes with a lot of expression. So when you're signing danger, you feel it from how the person speaks. Yes. So I realized they were talking about the fact that they're suspecting that I'm filming something. I'm not legit, blah, blah, blah. So I just...
At that point, how were you feeling?
I was so nervous.
Right.
I was so nervous because they could do anything to me inside there. Most of these people are illiterate, so they don't get to understand what you're trying to do for them. And I just quickly had to leave. Usually when I sign danger, I leave. And I don't know how I left, but I just jumped 1, 2, 3. I realized I was out of the mall. I took to my heels. And there was one guy I spoke to outside before entering the mall.
Okay.
The guy who actually led my way in there.
Right.
I took his number.
Okay.
And when I left the next day, I gave him a call and asked him, what happened? And he said they were actually chasing me. And if they had found me, they would have done a lot of things to me inside the mall that wouldn't allow me to come there again, because to them they don't know what I am looking for.
Exactly.
Yes. So I still thank God that they weren't able to get hold of me inside there. They could have done anything to me that could have traumatized me.
So after the documentary came out, these guys who could have done harm to you in the morgue, did anybody ever threaten your life?
No, none of them did. But in the first documentary, they were open to me. They told me about their challenges when it comes to payment. Mortuary workers, they've gone on strike for a number of times. And they're not being paid well. One, they don't have the right PPEs for the job. The environment in which they work in is just so bad. But they don't care. I remember there was one man who used this mask and apron in 2022. When I went there, the man was still using the same thing.
You don't say.
And the apron has usually when they're doing embalmment and all of that, it comes with blood, like it's
stains.
It comes with water, so the stains are all over the apron, and it was just so bad. But most of them are used to it. Sometimes they would have to take a lot of alcohol, so that it takes their, it changes their mood to be able to face all of those challenges whilst they do the work. And unemployment rate is also equally high. So when they are there, they are used to the dead bodies. It's like a norm to them. So
I'm sure for some of them, they're even fortunate to have the job that's
exactly
we think it's the worst.
And after the first story, they were queried. Some of them were about to be sacked. So.
But what effect did the second one have? Did it cause some change in the?
No, it only caused them trouble.
Oh, it did?
Yes, most of them were queried, like I mentioned. They're about to be sacked. That's why they refused to speak to me the second time.
Right.
So I had to go in there on my own to do my own thing. And when I came out and I did a story, because I wasn't in touch with any of them, I didn't get to speak to them.
Right.
Even if I do, they won't speak to me.
About the aftermath
it was only the general secretary who spoke to me and mentioned about people, most of the workers who had died due to the lack of the PPs and the inhaling of the embalming, what do we call it, the substance. So it's just a lot of things happening in there. But after the second story was told, which was also quite huge here at MG, a lot of people were shocked again that 2 years after a story was told, nothing had changed. And I heard they were doing some renovation works in there. The CEO then, who also spoke in the story, who is no longer the CEO, he said certain things, and I spoke to him in the documentary, and later on I heard he was saying things that I came to deceive him to speak on, a lot of stuff. But
anyways, fast forward, you're the first Ghanaian to win a Michael Elliott Award. I mean, that's to say a feather is even small. That's an ostrich in your cup. That's a big deal.
We made history.
Exactly. How does this motivate you to keep telling story, even whilst you wait for change to happen for, a lot of the work you've done so far?
I feel this is just the beginning. There are a lot more stories that I'm looking at telling.
Right.
It's not easy.
Yes.
I would usually say that I don't going.
Nice one.
And I'm looking at telling more stories.
So what does this entail? Let's talk about the moolah now. Let's talk money matters now.
You know what? I have about hundreds of people
in your inbox.